morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Proof of Person. Happy fucking Thursday. Today we have Arthur as our main guest for episode 27. Arthur, thank you for taking the time. How are you doing today?
Doing good. How about you?
Awesome, man. Having a great morning here in sunny, but a little bit cold now in Mexico. Having a great time. Was looking forward. I'm very excited to this show. So thank you for taking the time and being here with us.
Absolutely. It's great being here.
Awesome. Arthur, for anyone that doesn't know you, do you mind doing a quick TLDR? You're CCO of Pearl Labs, and just a bit of your background before joining this new role, if you don't mind, just for people to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, happy to give a quick intro. Here at Pearl, I lead a lot of the crypto side and a lot of the labeler incentives. So thinking about how we compensate different labelers and their different actions as they contribute to the platform. And previously, I was over at NGC Ventures, serving as a venture partner, where I did a lot of investments into infrastructure, AI, and the likes in crypto.
Awesome. Yeah. And then how did you meet the rest of the team, or how did you meet Ahmed? Like, how did you end up in Pearl Labs from your background to this role?
Yeah, funny thing. So when Ahmed was raising his pre-seed, we were one of the early investors. And I think we were so impressed with the team that I decided to leave the venture side and actually work on this problem full time.
That's wild. So yeah, you were just thinking as an investor, but then you got like really into the lore and the vision that the Pearl Labs was constructing. You were like, I want in completely, and that was kind of the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the scale of the problem was just both so interesting and so massive that it was a hard opportunity to pass up on. So I ended up transitioning.
Nice. How long have you been in Pearl? Like, when was the beginning of this?
I believe it's about a year and a half now.
Year and a half. Nice. Yeah, man, what a journey. What year and a half. I saw you guys just started the Pearl Labs Twitter like a few months ago. I think the first one was in July. And your growth has been insane. We'll talk a little bit more about that and the milestones, 100K on Discord, 30K applications in 24 hours, all of that. But yeah, we'll go through it in a proper timeline wise way. Well, like, could you just explain a little bit more on the vision from Pearl, like from the beginning? I mean, when you joined, but like, what was Ahmed's speech? Like, what was the short-term, long-term goal? Like, we can become this, and like Pearl is solving these type of problems. Like, what was the initial pitch and vision to now?
Yeah, I think, speaking a little bit about Ahmed's background, during his time when he used to be at Amazon and then later Scale AI, the big data annotation company, I think there were a couple issues that were very repetitive, and that was the quality training data is basically a huge problem. And so I think once he identified that need, he knew there was a pretty big opportunity in the space. And so I think the original idea for Pearl and the original vision was really to build something that delivers on hard outcomes. So our goal was to understand what do our customers need exactly, and how can we build and work backwards from there. And so that meant rethinking everything that's standard in the industry. And that's starting at how do you find the right people, how do you keep them motivated, and how can you really give them the opportunity to do the best work possible. And so that was really the goal and the core tenets of Pearl.
Did you, like, from the beginning, did you guys as a team like recognize that you needed that human layer? I mean, as fast as AI it's learning and growing, do you still feel like you need that quality from experts primarily?
Absolutely. Yeah. So models really can't learn everything on their own, right? So they can't capture context or judgment or nuance. And that only comes from real human experience, right? So we like to say that no one knows what humans want out of AI better than humans do, right?
Yeah,
nobody knows what response you want from ChatGPT better than you do, right? Especially as we get into more individualized AI. And so AI can get close, right? But it still needs that human signal to learn how to handle ambiguous cases or edge cases, right? So that's especially in areas where there's zero room for error, right? So you're not going to put default ChatGPT into the hospital, right, and just expect things to work out. You would never do that. And so you're not going to be able to train a reliable medical AI or legal AI or whatever the context may be on just raw data or synthetic data alone. you're going to need real real humans for both precision, judgment, evaluations, and everything in between.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I mean, we've had so many advancements as well now with these also like 1x technologies releasing Neo as a home robot, like so many AI like robotics trying to replicate humans and chores and giving people back time, but the human element still is a primary factor at the moment. How do you see it long term though? Like, do you think like human layer will always be needed and necessary in the process, or it will be becoming a little bit less as time goes by and everything runs faster in the back end for AI agents?
Yeah, our thesis is that humans will always have something to contribute to AI and to data in general, right? So whether it be just producing better quality data, but more importantly, having higher quality annotations, right? So we've done some benchmarks and comparisons to other data sets, and human data and human annotated data is always performing better, right? And so we think obviously synthetic data is very interesting. So machine generated data, right?
Yeah.
But when you compare it to very edge and niche use cases, human data is still far superior.
Yeah, it's such an interesting concept. I don't know, like when I was going through Pearl and I already knew about you guys a couple of weeks ago, like I was thinking like these you need this human element right now, but like in the long term, like and how fast everything is going, like I think it could be replaced in a way. But like I mean, there's no point of thinking that far just now, especially yeah, just thinking of right now and you taking the best out of the human element. But also like you guys mentioned a lot of rewards and badges and recognition throughout the tasks in your website and the whole Perl ecosystem. How do you reward properly, because you want to highlight and prioritize on quality, so you need the best of the best in the industry, in the medicine, legal, finance. How do you make sure that you're rewarding them appropriately for them to take the actual time to help you guys to capture all this quality data?
Yeah, there's a couple different ways we do it, right? A lot of traditional platforms, I think, like to reward on just the raw quantity of tasks you've done. So how fast were you able to do it? How many can you get done in an hour? And then we'll compensate you based on that, right? The way we do it at Pearl is a little different. Obviously, we still use industry benchmarks, right? Based on, let's say, if you're a doctor, right? Those tasks are likely to be paid more than other tasks are, or very, very high skill or very high niche tasks. But we like to incentivize more on the quality of the actual data. So it really comes down to how useful is this data to actually training AI. So, 10 really poorly annotated data sets, right, are not going to be compensated as highly as maybe 5 that were annotated really, really well. So we like to compensate not just based on, the raw contribution count, but the actual contribution towards changing the response quality of AI. So that's how we really benchmark everything.
I see. But you guys as a team, or like there's a human deciding on the parameters of what is quality or not. Like, do you guys do the tasks before the contributor? That would be tough though, like because you need an expert then to do it beforehand and then to compare it or cross-check with the AI agents. Like, what exactly is the process, and how do you decide which are quality and which aren't?
So once a human does the actual annotation work, somebody else comes in and actually verifies the quality. So a real human. And so basically these are our version of, let's say, validators. The difference being that it's shifted from a machine validator over to a real human doing the quality assurance work. In between, we do have algorithms and machine learning techniques that help us sort of filter out really low quality responses, right? But in order to get that last mile of accuracy, we do have a real human review every task. And so that's considered almost like a separate job, so like a secondary task.
I see. Yeah, this makes way more sense now. How are you, like, how big is the team? I mean, we have the mods, we have the core team on the front end, but like you guys have grown exponentially ever since you started. 100K in Discord members, it's insane. You had 30K applicants in 24 hours for your private beta. I think I saw you had 10K on Telegram. Like, it's a lot of workload. Like, how are you guys managing on front and back end? Like, yeah, how's the workflow and how do you guys keep everything efficient and organized?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of those numbers have even grown since then. And the core team is around 20, a little above 20. I think we really split it into 3 groups. Obviously there's like the marketing side, but really importantly, there's the core engineering and AI research side. And then there's the operations side, right? We like to think of data and more of a data annotation field as not just a tech problem, but more importantly, a human problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you get to the scale of hundreds of thousand labelers or even millions, you can't solve the problem based on raw technology alone, right? It helps make you a little more efficient. It helps speed things along. It helps grease some wheels, but ultimately it becomes a human problem. So, our operations team is really focused on how can we find the best labelers for each specific task? How can we compensate them in the most fair way, right? How can we make sure they get paid as quickly as possible while we do this quality assurance? And so that makes up a bulk majority of the team.
Yeah, that's very interesting. How are you handling payments? Is it regularly, just for reference? Is it weekly, monthly? Could a contributor like consider being in Pearl Labs and like annotating and labeling as a full-time job now or eventually? I'm sure you guys have talked about that and considered it.
Yeah. So there's sort of two answers to that. There definitely are people who can do it as a full-time job, right? So in terms of how much could you make, yes, you can make enough to do it as a full-time job. We almost always don't recommend it. And that's not, it's not always the best thing for us, but I think it's the best thing for the labeler at the end of the day. Because, what it sort of draws back to is this, right? If you are a doctor doing medical annotation tasks, as the field evolves, if you're not consistently practicing medicine, right, you're going to get left behind. And so, your skills might eventually become less sharp. So yes, could you do it as a full-time job? Yes. It's definitely possible. You can definitely make enough. But then the question becomes is that the best way to do it?
Yeah. What if you continue learning on the side, or like you just continue researching? I mean, there's a lot of knowledge by doing and like actually practicing versus just theory. Yeah, just thinking out loud here. Sorry.
Yeah,
But
I would say it also depends on the specific task, right?
yeah.
For a lot of tasks, yeah, book knowledge is just as good as real knowledge, right?
Yeah. With that, like, and also like you had part of your team like giving out the selected communities like whitelist codes for the private beta. Most of these, like if they win a giveaway or they win in a certain way, they might not be experts on a specific field. Like once they join the private beta, how are they qualified, or how did they be put in a certain bucket into like you can annotate and label these because it's more general. It's not you don't need an expertise like medicine. Like what is the process for anyone that has a code and is maybe wondering about that process as well?
Yeah, so access is still controlled based on access code. So we're doing a gradual rollout there. I'd say the platform right now is still in early beta. So keeping the first couple waves smaller really helps us make sure that everything is running smoothly and the core experience is going to be really good, right? So we'll continue rolling this out for all those people who want to join. I'd say keep an eye with the creators we're partnering with, follow the Pro Labs page, right? We'll be rolling it out through phases. But in terms of how we're really separating talent, what we would say is like once you're in, your work speaks for itself, right? And so what the platform does behind the scenes is it assesses the accuracy and the consistency of every task that you do. So only high quality contributors are going to get rewarded, right? And as your platform reputation grows, you're going to earn the credentials that unlock more opportunities. So if you don't actually know what you're doing and you're just spamming tasks or you're doing random annotations, your reputation, your rewards are going to be able to reflect that, right? So pretenders and people, who don't actually know what they're doing will almost get filtered out naturally. But for a lot of the initial tasks, they are general purpose, right? So anyone can do them.
I see. Yeah, no, and it's still better. Like you're getting a lot of feedback, you're still making a lot of changes, and yeah, optimizing the whole workflow and the platform. So it's part of the process. And you had 30K applications on the first 24 hours. I thought the application was closed earlier today. how many did you select from those? The codes that were distributed for whitelist and partnerships were 300, which I thought were very scarce, but obviously very valuable for the ones that got it. But like for these other public application, how many did you choose, if you can disclose that?
Yeah, I think the first wave was 1,000, but we're going to continue rolling out more and more. So just because you weren't, selected on the initial wave, don't worry.
There's 2 ways.
we are still going to roll out a lot more invite codes.
So exciting! I love it. What else? Like, is there a gamification process that you get? Like, are you guys trying to make it more of an experience? I know you're trying to focus on the top quality data, obviously, and that's priority and precision. But like, are you also trying to make it entertaining now or eventually? Like, have you thought about that part as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We like to think about it. I mean, our core goal is also for people to basically be able to improve their skills so they can work on higher quality tasks. And so we do have like a very gamified progression system, right? What we want people to do is eventually work on harder and harder tasks, especially as AI gets more and more advanced, right? So there definitely is a gamification and a knowledge progression system.
It really is all a game, huh? Now more than ever. I love it. How, like, for anyone, I'm sure everyone is wondering, like, how, and you mentioned like it depends on the quality of the data and the contributions that you make. Like, for a general audience person, like for example, someone that just won a whitelist or a partnership code or got approved for one of these 1,000, and is not like an expert, what is the range of rewards they could expect for doing tasks every day? I don't know, for a week, for a month, like just to put a little bit into numbers, what people could be doing and getting in return.
Yeah, it's hard to answer that because first, I think the type of tasks that everyone does is very, very different based on background. But more importantly, the amount of contributions that people do is also very different, right? Some people, before they go to bed, just like to do like 20 minutes of annotation work, right? Just a couple tasks. Other people treat it like they're 9 to 5, right? Other people do even more work, right? And then it's also just really hard to say the average consistency of annotation accuracy, right? Some people will spend a bunch of time getting a task 100%. Other people will try to, which we don't recommend, try to send in like a bunch of poorly, annotated tasks. And so the answer to that question is really, really difficult for me to sort of give a response to, because it ranges all the way from like a couple dollars a month all the way up to like thousands a month, right?
Shit. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking it was a difficult question, but I was like just for a range for people, like general knowledge. Well, yeah, a couple of dollars to 1,000. It's a very big range, but it makes sense. Like people could be making thousands. I think that was the answer that I was looking for people listening. And like you're trying to wait for the next phase if they didn't get a code or access for this one, but like just to be more involved in everything that Perl is doing, obviously, and to get excited and involved. That was the main purpose. So there's no limit for the tasks and the annotations and labeling that they can do per day, or there is, like if someone goes like 20 hours straight like doing tasks, like the platform won't stop you at all. You just go with it.
There definitely are limits. If you're annotating for like 72 hours straight, we do get like a little bit confused.
Yeah, hang on, like there's something sauce here. Sorry.
Right. And so we do try to also filter out civil attacks and people who are trying to do it in some automated fashion, because at the end of the day, our goal is to get real quality human data, right? Yes. Because that's what especially our customers are really looking for on the enterprise side. I would say the biggest constraint is almost always, as to how much data does the customer need. So for some tasks, we do limit it to 1 per person, right? For example, we're one of our early tasks, which you may have seen, is doing some stuff for facial recognition for a big AI frontier lab.
Yes, here we go. I'm going to play the selfie task.
Right, exactly, and that's a huge one. But for this one, they only want 1 set of contributions per person, for obvious reasons, right? Because it's kind of hard to do a visual identification AI if all your data is just trained on the same person, right? You're only going to be able to identify 1 person. So that's definitely something that we do keep in mind and filter for.
I see. I mean, you adapt to the client's needs and requirements, right? I mean, they expect high quality data and other other requirements. Like I think I saw one campaign was demographic specific, like North America, or you adapt to the clients, right? Like you, and that's you base the pool and the applicants based on that, right? Like just trying to understand a little bit more on the process and the back end from clients, then choosing the contributors and doing the tasks themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very specific to the client's needs, and for good reason, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people say, having unbiased data and just raw data is always the best thing. And we like to think that the answer is a little more nuanced than that, right?
Mhm.
In terms of the person, yes, you have to be unbiased because you don't want flawed data sets, right? You don't want data that skews in any particular way, because you'll see that in your AI response. But you do sometimes want a bias in the type of contributor. So for, drawing again, the example of medical AI is like, you probably don't want me annotating your medical AI data sets, right? Like, why not, right?
Yeah.
So, if you have AI giving you medical advice, like you should pray that it didn't come from me, right? You want it coming from a doctor or someone with some med school background or a
Yes.
nurse or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah, I saw that ChatGPT cannot give legal or medical advice anymore. I'm sure they got sued like crazy, or like throughout the last few years. But yeah, they can't do that anymore. And even in China, I saw the other day. I don't know if you saw the news that yeah, streamers and influencers cannot give, again, financial or medical advice, or like a topic that they're not experts or have a degree on. Otherwise, they get like 15K US fine and like their account suspended and a bunch of other yeah, anti-regulate, like yeah, their account flagged and stuff. So that's where the industry and the whole world is moving towards, like just quality and precision, and not just people talking out of their ass.
Exactly.
Which is great, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, could you share an example of a client, general or demographic specific, and with a task, if you want to use the example again of the selfies, the face recognition, or a different one, just for people's reference and to understand a little bit more of the backend process with the clients?
Yeah, another big task that we're doing is around automatic speech recognition.
Mm-hmm.
So if, maybe you've ever been on a Google Meet and you turn on captions, and then you read the captions and you're like, this is completely different to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Or, this is really inaccurate. Or, hey, maybe this is really accurate. What that is automatic speech recognition, right? And so we have certain tasks where we play audio clips for people, and we basically have them go in and say, like, what did you hear in this task? And so as we're sort of able to do that matching, AI is able to learn from that data and do pattern recognition to basically get those captions much, much better and higher quality.
That's wild, man. I still think like in a couple of years, the AI and the robotics is going to be so advanced that like human element might be minimum. Like they will be teaching us in a way. It's going to be a very interesting process and future. It's great that we can still be involved and we can add value as a human element, obviously, but I think it's going to go faster than we can think of and process, and it's going to get interesting in a way.
Yeah, I will say for every, genius AI researcher who I talk to who tells me AGI is like 3 or 4 years away, you can find an equally smart person tell you that it's like 30 or 40 years away.
Oh, really? I never heard
yeah.
of 30 years yet.
I will say that the AI community, I think, is very divided on how far we are from AGI and what it's going to look like, right? I don't think anyone truly knows or is able to define exactly what AGI is going to look like. So personally, I'm not too worried.
Oh, nice. Okay, I feel a little bit better now. I don't know. I just kept thinking like we have like 5 years and then doomsday, and who knows what's going to happen. But if other experts are saying like 30, 40 years, hopefully they're right and we have a longer runway. I wanted to ask as well on this tweet from Michael. He's, I believe, from Framework that helped you guys raise part of the 17 mil. He was comparing the Amazon recognition with you guys, and that like you were 70% higher. I just wanted to understand a little bit more on how Amazon is doing. Like I assume that they don't have that human layer, and just to understand that comparison a little bit better and clearer.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Amazon recognition versus Pearl experiment was, measured with a partner called Data Seeds that we used. And so basically what we did is we evaluated annotation work for really precise semantic segmentation. So for those of you who might not be familiar with what semantic segmentation is, it's basically drawing a mask on top of a very specific item in an image, right? So if we have a picture of a butterfly, we're not just drawing a box around like here's the top corner and here's the bottom corner and like this is where the butterfly is. We're going in and basically getting a pixel perfect highlight of like drawing around the wings and around the head and every part of it, right? And so when we sort of did that and we drew these pixel perfect masks that we use to help train AI and show it where something is, we found that there's really, really significant quality gaps between recognition and human annotation. So I think that really goes to show that the limitation to services like recognition, which are still very useful, is that they're really general purpose, right? They're not made for really specific use cases, which I think a lot of AI is going to trend towards. So for really nuanced visual tasks in this instance, you really need humans to still go in and basically say, this is what's correct and this is what's not.
Right. Yeah, you need the human eye and the logic and experience to recognize that at the moment. Well, yeah, I'm definitely glad that we still have that. Why also, and moving pivoting a little bit on the topic as well, like why did you choose to build in Web3? Like why not just focus on Web2? I believe it's more towards the Solana and the being verifiable. But yeah, I might be wrong, and just you can share from your side.
Yeah, when we think about the problem, we don't really think about it as a Web 2 or Web 3 problem, right, per se. So we operate across both, right? Our enterprise platform serves AI teams directly, and that's a very Web 2 business, right?
Yes.
We basically provide high quality data to big AI labs. But as we continue, scaling the supply side to keep pace with these customers, that's a very Web3 solvable issue, right? So Web3 incentives can basically mobilize participation really quickly, but it also allows us to log every contribution, every reward, contributions and credentials, that kind of thing, right? So you're able to basically create a layer of transparency and verifiability. So what we really think about it is like we have a problem and what is the best solution? And so in this case, the best solution was Web3 incentives, right? And so that's where it really came to play. Maybe drawing back to Solana, I think it was just the natural choice for us for a contributor platform, right? It's a fast chain, it's affordable in terms of gas fees, and it really easily handles a lot of the high volume transactions that we end up doing. But I think it also has a really global reach and a big ecosystem and a big community that we really wanted to be able to tap into.
That's also one of your main roles, like you mentioned Web3 incentives, right? And rewarding contributors. That's one of your main focuses within the role.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nice. How are you? Like I'm sure that like when you started mapping it out to now, it has changed a lot. What has been one of the big milestones or like the big catalysts to like from the beginning to now, like changes that you've seen? I guess from so many people applying and joining as well. Like I mean, you learn extremely fast when you have so much influx of people as well.
Yeah, I think it was really amazing to us how much community interest was sort of pent up and how much people want to contribute to building these frontier models. I think what we realized is people are very invested in the quality of AI and making sure that they have sort of a say and an input on what goes into that AI, right? And more importantly, I think people are very interested in being rewarded for that specific input. I think, very early on, we were almost more worried about civil attacks and low quality than we are today. Not to say that it's not a problem anymore, right? But I think the community is actually really, really strong and really, really invested in making sure that they do provide the highest quality results, right? I think people are actually interested in improving the quality of AI and not just making money, right? Although it is a huge part of it still.
Yeah, no, and that was one of the main questions that I wanted to bring up. Like, what is the biggest driver for people contributing? I mean, obviously, providing quality data, but like, is there something extra, like being part of something bigger, or like this will evolve to something huge? And like I can say, like I was part of the beginning of what Pearl was building, when their beta was live, and like obviously like many of these factors together, like I wanted to more on the human side, on like the feeling and the emotional moment for them, for each contributor in a way, like what drives them to do more and to provide the top quality data in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously it's great to get paid always, but
Yeah,
I also think it's like, listen, when you go into a meeting and you see the captions and you say like, hey, the reason that the quality of those captions are so high is because of me.
Shit, man.
That's a pretty good thing to do, right?
Yeah,
And so when you use a big AI model and you see your friends, I don't know, maybe your kids doing homework and they do a math problem, you know, AI helps them solve and explain a math problem correctly. You're able to say like, hey, I contributed to that. And that response quality was partially because of me. And I think that's a pretty amazing thing to be able to be a part of.
Yeah, and it's not in a bragging or flexing way. It's just like I was part of this, and like just something bigger and more meaningful. Apart from the pay, obviously, which everyone likes. But yeah, it's good to know that there's a bigger purpose. What's yours, by the way? Like, what has it changed from when you started to now? Like the vision, the purpose, your main drive.
Yeah, I think the core issue is still the same, right? It's that, you know, there's three segments, and almost I would say that my motivation has just increased throughout time. Because I think as we sort of maybe split AI into three big segments, right? Everybody's really obsessed with compute, for example. You see these massive data centers being built, right? Or, you know, talent. You see people getting these like, you know, 9-figure contract offers that you see on the news. To do AI research, right? And obviously these matter. But I think what's interesting and what a lot of people forget is that data quality is the third, you know, building block of AI. And so when you see, for example, like Meta acquiring Scale AI for 30 billion, that's their largest acquisition ever, right? Much bigger than, you know, WhatsApp or Instagram or whatever it may be. So I think it really draws the importance of data as one of the building blocks of AI. And when you talk to a lot of these labs, they're very private about, you know, they don't let these data companies tell the world who they're working with. And so the reason for that is not just because they're stingy with their logo, but it's because this data is actually their key edge, right? You're not going to get better compute quality from using, you know, this data center versus that data center, right? The quality is not going to be that different, right? You might get some cost improvements, a little bit of efficiency improvements, but at the end of the day, you're still using the same GPUs, right? But data is a huge differentiator for these guys because that can massively impact what your model looks like.
Yeah, no, it's an edge. And like if you disclose it publicly, then what stops your competition to go and hire them as well, or paying them more and leaving you after? It's a big decision to just, and easier, better to just keep private instead of using these guys, and maybe someone will poach them. Have you had not you literally, but like the team, like have any concerns or raises from like that, like data privacy, or like I'm sure the terms and conditions are very clear from the beginning, but like have you had any people just raising any concerns, or do they just like, and if they do they just leave the beta, or like what has been the outcome if people just feel like not as comfortable all of a sudden?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we haven't had any issues at all. And that's because, you know, the core tenet of how we operate is keeping data ethical, you know, private and auditable. I think that's one of the huge things that Pro really emphasizes. And I think that's where the Web3 element really comes into play as well, is that we're one of the few, you know, data companies that knows where the data comes from. When you know, a lot of these bigger companies, not to call anybody out, but it's completely, you know, untraceable. Once you get that data, it's like good luck finding out where they got it from. Good luck knowing if consent was really collected, right? It's hard.
Yeah.
And so I think for us, you know, it starts with when we collect the data, and when we have people do specific annotation work, it's always with explicit permission, right? So privacy is inherently built into the workflows. It's not like an extra complication for people. every step of the workflow, we'll log it so customers can audit exactly where their training data is coming from. We do multiple quality checks, and we basically have a trail of who did what. And so basically, if people say, I don't want my data on here anymore, that's easy to do.
Let's see. But like, could you remove, like, if someone said, like, I don't want my data here anymore, like, you can just remove their contributions on the back end? Or like, what's the process if someone decides to? I mean, I'm glad you haven't had that case yet, but yeah, what's the workflow?
Yeah, it really varies between country to country. But I would definitely say we will uphold the highest standard of data privacy in every instance, right? So if you don't want your data anymore, we'll make every step we can to remove it. Yeah.
Easy. Yeah, man. I saw in one of your tweets that you guys said, like, reshaping the future of AI. It's such a big, ambitious goal, but the way that you guys are doing it, and I think you have definitely the team and the infrastructure to accomplish it. So, what's the final goal? I mean, job's not finished ever, obviously, and you're gonna keep building. But like, what's the one of the main goals in a month and in 6 months, for example? Like, what are you guys aiming for? A certain amount of users, certain amount of data, X contributors per day. Like, what are the KPIs in a way internally?
Yeah, I think our North Star goal is to be the foundational infrastructure for how AI learns from humans, right? Right now, what that means is a lot of annotation work, right? So going into the data and adding human input to it. But that also, goes on to like reinforcement learning, to evaluations, basically anything that needs a human in the loop. So, for example, evaluations, if ChatGPT ever asked you, do you like this response or that response more? And they give you two. What they're actually doing is they're trying to fish for evaluations, right? So evals. So basically they want to know what is the best response, right? Or if you're doing reinforcement learning, you're basically telling it like, you know what, this quality response was not correct, and here's why. Or this response could have been better because of that. And we want to get into all of these fields, and we already do for a lot of them, right? So anything that AI needs a human for, I think Pearl would like to contribute to. But I think the vision for us is really just a global network of verified experts where we're able to verify their contribution quality and create as many opportunities for people as we can to basically improve AI. So customers come to Pearl because they know that the expertise is always going to be the highest quality, and the expertise is real people, right? And contributors come because they know that they're being rewarded fairly, right? And that the work that they do actually contributes to AI responses.
Yeah, and eventually becoming a global, like, credential layer in AI, like Pearl. So when a company or a client says like, "Oh, if this was done by Pearl," like, you already know that it's like top quality, and that's one of the main names, I'm sure, as well.
Yeah, I think if we build a track record of quality contributions that are verified on chain, it does start to mean something beyond just the Pearl platform, right? It's basically like a portable proof that you know what you're doing, right? The question, I think, is whether or not the broader ecosystem adopts it that way. We're right now focused on making Pearl Labs the place where serious AI teams come to for expert feedback, right? And if we do that well, I don't think there's any reason that the reputation system can't expand it to something much bigger than that.
Yeah, no, the reputation will easily follow, and yeah, be guaranteed by Pearl. Man, I'm so excited. What's the next big day that people should be looking forward to? Is there going to be another application form for the ones that couldn't get in on this last one a few days ago? Yeah, what should they be looking forward to and being excited about that they can get involved in?
Yeah, what I would say is, keep an eye out. We're going to be making a lot of announcements, whether it be in the next day, the next week, and the next month and ongoing. I would definitely just say, make sure you turn on alerts, follow our Twitter, Discord, Telegram. That's where you're always going to hear about announcements first as we, roll people off the whitelist. We maybe open up another form, or we upload new tasks and new ways for people to contribute.
Super excited, man. Yeah, we'll give 3 codes here today, well, after the stream for people that engage throughout the session. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, what's the alpha art, or what's happening behind the scenes that we should know? Is there a token? Is there a launch? Apart from the general response that you just said about faces and exciting and not on, feel free to give some alpha for the people that are listening.
Yeah, I would just say you are very, very early. There's a point system already in the beta, so I think a lot of people can assume what that means. But yeah, I would just say we are moving fast, so make sure you keep contributing.
Love it, man. So fucking pumped. Awesome. Arthur, what are you? Any last advice? Any last comments before we start wrapping up? Yeah, just any last words? Yep.
Quality over quantity, man. I think that's the core advice I'd like to impart on everybody.
Holy shit. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but if you can do both, like in this case for annotations and contributions, you do a lot of quantity and quantifiable quality contributions, then
the best thing is a large quantity of quality contributions. That is
the way. That is the way.
That is the way.
Oh man, yeah, super excited for what you guys are building. Very excited to be getting involved as well. For everyone that is in the process already in the private beta, I'm glad to hear that they have a bigger, meaningful purpose besides just the rewards and the financial side, obviously. Yeah, man, this has been a really great AMA today show. All good. Anything else from you? Otherwise, we're start closing here. We'll go out with a 30-second countdown. If there's no questions from the audience, last words. I think you closed it perfectly with the quality over quantity. But if you have anything else for the last minute,
just a huge thank you for having me.
No, I appreciate it, man. It's been a great show. Really, thanks for really appreciate the time and you sharing share with us all the exciting things that you guys are building and a little bit of alpha as well. Even though I was expecting you to share more, we'll be staying tuned with the socials, obviously, and excited for the codes that we're going to be distributed as well. Yeah. No, sorry, you were gonna say something?
No, just that this was a blast. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Arthur. Thank you, everyone that listened, commented, engaged, been here for the last 45 minutes with us. It's been a great show and a great experience. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you on the next episode 28. And hope you have a great rest of the day. We're going to fade out with a 30-second countdown. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.